Here it is, Bloomberg. Detected Ebola hospital, or dedicated Ebola hospital sought after nurses' infection. U.S. and local health officials want to set up dedicated hospitals in each state for Ebola patients, part of a new emphasis on safety and healthcare workers after a nurse caring for an infected patient in Dallas tested positive for the virus. Folks, the CDC goes on to say they're rethinking its existing infection control. No, they turned off the default, which we've been telling you for months. We told you when they brought in people with Ebola, it was going to spread from them, and it is now. See? It was on purpose. They study this. They're the experts. They knew. Our government wants Ebola spreading in America, and they think, here's the big one, that they're going to get away with it. Cops, firefighters, EMTs, medical workers, you're going to be the front lines of getting this. So remember what your loyalty to this suicidal system did when you get it and your kids get it. I'm sorry for your kids. I'll probably be blamed for trying to stop it. I understand how it works. I understand. So just remember, this is what giving into the New World Order does. This is what living in fantasy land does, okay? And for the general public, hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy all of it. Because if we don't put massive pressure on them now to immediately lock up everybody who's come in contact with these patients, we're talking thousands of people have to be locked up now. No, they're going to let that spread, and it's going to be millions. They want it to get to a critical mass. Then they're going to clamp down, and it's going to be hell. Now let's go to Joe Biggs down there with Josh Owens. And I want to be clear, folks. The border region is not even the place that's a hot zone. The entire of America is. Hospitals are the hot zones. Clinics are the hot zones. Not the border. We're down on the border where people would come across who have it to go to the hospital. That's where the real hot zone is, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biggs, what are you seeing down there? What's your take on what you've just heard me talk about?
Joe Biggs, Infowars.com. I'm at Andalusia Park in Mission, Texas. Now, right behind me is the Rio Grande, as you can see, and just across the water, that's Mexico right there. We're at the park where yesterday we were harassed by police for being here. And right now, if Josh pans around, you can see there's a police officer who's followed us over here to keep an eye on us. We're obviously media. We're sitting here filming, and they're following us. Meanwhile, tons of other vehicles are coming through, and no cops are bothering them whatsoever. It's just us, the journalists, out here.
That's because they've caught, just like in Ferguson, the police. It's not looters that are the problem. It's press that are nonviolent. Everywhere they're being programmed that we're the enemy.
Yeah, because we're the ones who want to expose the truth, what's really going on. They hate that. They don't like that. We're the outlet for the truth, for the entire people to see. They hate every single bit of that.
Absolutely. Tell us what else you've seen.
Well, yesterday I took Josh to a couple spots. I've been out here to McAllen quite a few times over the months. And, over the past few months, we've been reporting how there's just been nobody, wide open areas. We got out there yesterday. There was Army out there, Air Force. There was a soldier on each Humvee on top with binoculars looking, helicopters in the air. The park here where I'm at, there's, I would say, maybe 20, 30 police vehicles. Boats set up, helicopters are flying by every now and then. They've definitely amped up their security, and I don't know if this is for the cry about, with what Governor Perry did, trying to call in the National Guard, or is this because of what General Kelly said over the week, talking about how the Ebola virus had come into Central America and then essentially start spreading through there, and then pushing all the patients who know they've been in contact with somebody and are scared and want to try to live, so they're going to come into America. So who knows at this point, but they've definitely amped up security, and it's not easy to move around here as much anymore.
Well, that's good, because you're supposed to have the feds on the border. That's the only place they're supposed to be. You're supposed to have the Army on the border. Now, were those big Army or National Guard you saw?
The Army I saw was National Guard, because it had that little arrowhead patch with the T, so I think that's the Texas National Guard. But the Air Force, I'm not sure why they would be out here.
Well, what type of aircraft were they? Probably running infrared, or what do you think?
They just had a Humvee with some kind of device on top, so I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of listening device. That's all I could come to a...
Well, great job on that. Try to get up there and interview some of those folks, or try to talk to their public affairs person.
Yeah, I tried to talk to some of them yesterday. They said we couldn't talk to them. We couldn't film them. So, I mean, they didn't want us to be around them anywhere
well,
near
by the way,
area.
They can't tell you that you can't film them. They can refuse an interview, but they can't tell you not to film them.
Yeah.
Did we get footage of them?
Yes.
Good job. Let's get those reports out. Well, you heard me ranting earlier, and you were on air a month ago saying the same thing when you were down on the border. The default was to put them in special level 4 emergency facilities they have under BioShield, 36 locations. They already are set up for this. It was never put Ebola patients in the mainline Atlanta hospital or the mainline Dallas hospital with people untrained to deal with it. Of course it was going to give healthcare workers the disease. So now they're letting them fly in. As reportedly, people are coming off airplanes vomiting in Boston, New York, you name it, out of Africa. People are on strike now. We're into week 2 as airline workers freak out. Who knows how many Ebola victims that are carrying the disease as vectors are already in the U.S., Joe? What do you think's really going on here?
Well, you got to think, though, when this influx of the quote-unquote children were coming across the borders, what did we start building along the borders, Alex? All these different facilities to house them. Now we have that same facility that Don, Kit, and John Bowen and I filmed when they were putting it up and getting it ready to bring in. It's still there. I drove by it this morning. I saw it yesterday. It's fenced in. They still have the FEMA bus in there. There's not as many of the smaller Homeland Security buses, but they've still got something going on in there, and it's secretive and it's shut off. So that's definitely a spot where they could be doing something like that, disappearing people and putting them in there.
Well, that's what the Border Patrol from 2 different sources have told us, one on record, as this has been going on for months. And again, it'd be one thing if they were quarantining people, they should be public about it, so it's not secret detainment. But then they would have default shut down the flights. If they shut down the flights, we're quarantining people day 1 and grabbing folks at the border, I'd say, well, it's sad, but it has to happen. This is a very deadly disease. But instead, they're leaving it open while running what looks like a training op on the border to me.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing because, you know, all these other countries have nipped it in the bud already months ago, stopped those flights from West Africa. So the American people still are blind to the fact that this is a planned event. You know, our government's left the borders wide open down here where we're at now, and they've left the air completely open. They're letting the planes fly into our airspace from West Africa. They're allowing this to happen to create this huge outbreak, this pandemic. And like you said, once it gets to a certain point, that's when they enact those FEMA camps. That's when they start detaining people. Every time you have a cough, you look like you have some kind of respiratory illness. Then President Obama's executive order comes into play. Then you start being detained. And next thing you know, everybody's getting scooped up by the busloads and ushered off to some camp.
I think the verdict's clear. I'm going to open the phones up in the 3rd hour after Joel Skousen leaves us. But there's no other way to look at it. The government is run by criminals. They have allowed people to come in to create a big crisis so they can have political distractions from all of Obama's scandals and bring in medical tyranny and a precedent for forced inoculation with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's what this is. That's how you bring down a country. That's how you bring in tyranny. They used al-Qaeda that they funded and helped protect to bring in the police state. Now they're going to use the police state on the Ebola that they protected as well. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, Joe.
Well, they're using this as a way, too, to push the flu shot. Just 2 days ago on Fox, on that Judge Jeanine show, Justice, she had on a doctor from New York City, and he said, you know, right now, he's like, there's a huge scare because everybody that has a cough, they automatically get quarantined, brought into a hospital, and everyone's in a panic. And Judge Jeanine, she goes, well, what are we going to do to stop that? How do we stop the confusion? And he said, well, everybody needs to go get their flu shot. Everyone needs to get their flu shot. Everyone needs to get it. He said it like 3 times. So this is another way to push a vaccine.
Exactly.
And he said, this is how we determine now. He's like, if everyone gets their flu shot, then you're not going to get the flu. So the people that have flu-like symptoms, we're going to already know probably have Ebola, and that's how we stop that.
And by the way, let's walk through that fraud for new listeners. Look it up for yourself. The flu shot that they have predicted the year before, that's predicted mutation, has never picked the right mutation, and on record lowers your immune system by 50% for at least 1 year when you take it against other viral pathogens. If you don't believe me, just type into Google, flu shot lowers viral immunity. University of Ottawa studies, University of Texas studies, Harvard Medical Center studies. Okay, folks, it lowers your immunity. So would you want to take a flu shot if it lowers your immunity to other viruses for at least a 12-month period, Joe?
Well, this is the thing, though. I've been out of the Army almost 2 years now. Not once have I gotten the flu. When I was in the Army and I was lined up like cattle and forced to take the flu vaccine or the spray, I got the flu so many times. I would get the flu horribly 1 to 2 days later. Then I would finally get out of it, and by then I've missed a week of work and lost weight. Then I would get it again mysteriously. And then the military is like, why do you keep getting sick? You got the flu shot. Why do you keep getting sick? We're going to give you an Article 15. You're trying to malinger. You're trying to get out of work. And I'm like, no, this flu shot makes you sick. Why can't you guys see that? Meanwhile, the guys who are telling me that aren't even getting the flu shot. The higher-ranking people don't get it. They
on record, yeah.
They force it on the lower, the younger soldiers. So it's completely total BS. I mean, that thing, don't take it.
I don't know any general enlisted that are for vaccines because of all the nightmares they've been through. That's why the military is so awake. They have been used as guinea pigs. They've been given the anthrax shot, all of it. It's disgusting. Joe, we're going to go to break. I want to come back and get 5 minutes with Josh. And then, great job. Get out there, finish your reports, and then do that man on the street, and then come back to Austin. Former Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs now reporting from the border that General Kelly, the head of Southcom, says is where they expect masses of people with Ebola to come if it starts spreading in Central and South America. Thank you, Joe. We're going to go to break here and come back and get Josh Owens' take as well. He's the camera guy, but he's a great reporter in his own right. I want to get his view on this. Before we go any further, you know what I'm personally doing for my research, for myself and my family? I went home early from work yesterday, and I went to a local community pool with my kids because it was sunny, and I got them 2 hours of sun. I left early. I got them early. I went and I got them sun. All the major studies, all of it, sun is so important. That's why stuff spreads so bad during the winter, because the different chemicals and different hormones and different vitamins that don't get released in your body and don't get produced in your body, it's not just vitamin D, without sun. So sun is numero uno. Can't live with it, can't live without it. Yeah, it ends up giving you skin cancer later. But that's just part of it. You're meant to get sun, folks. That's why white people that are from the north have white skin to get more of it, because you need it. If you're by the equator, you got black skin because you don't need more of it. Comprende, folks? Especially white people need sun. And then you got black folks with sunscreen and stuff, the studies on them, it's even worse when they don't get it. So you want to get cancer, you want to get sick, bottom line, don't get sun. Vitamin B12, vitamin D, that's what I'm doing for myself. I take the Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2, InfoWarsLife.com. Unbelievable what it's personally done for me and my health. Super Male Vitality to work on my glands and block the estrogen mimickers that make you all bloated and weak and lethargic. Silver Bullet, colloidal silver. I just take it religiously now during the winter season, and it's certainly been helping me. DNA Force, InfoWarsLife.com. I take my 2 tablets right now. It's got the organic CoQ10. Just go read all the stuff it's got in it, the PPQ, the BioPQQ, all of it, ladies and gentlemen. I was in a pharmacy yesterday, and they were playing ads for BioPQQ and how amazing it is, but to get a prescription for it. A lot of companies put it out that way. I mean, this is a nutraceutical. This is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. InfoWarsLife.com. You'll get this powerful BioPQQ and more at the lowest price it is out there with everything that's put together that we found. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. I'm going to take a big, nice drink of this right now. I squirt it all into the water, mix it up, and take it 3 times a day, ladies and gentlemen. And it's had dramatic effects. You've heard the callers, what it's done for them, and it supports the broadcast. InfoWarsLife.com. Second hour.
Thank you for listening.
Get a quick
to
pop-in
GCN.
from Josh Owens,
Visit
and then we're going to
GCNlive.com today.
sit there and talk to a lot of other folks. Stay with us.
In the near future.
When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media
We
operations.
let the worst people get controlled and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime Directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
A popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You got to set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.